Welcome, Yewande Solanke.
Okay.
It's lovely to have you here. We're delighted to have you here at Anglo. We're here today to celebrate National Women in Engineering Day. We're joining actually the Women in Engineering Society in celebrating this day here at Anglo, as we'd really like to do it publicly this year. You can see that you're a finalist for a big award, which is very exciting. So you work at the TFL and you're a project manager.
Yes.
Fantastic. So a bit about me. My name's Kirsten Perry. I am the Business Development Director here at Anglo. I've been in this role for about 2 years. I know the director for like about 20 years. And I really like the idea of having a national day for women in engineering. Because as I understand it, the UK is very poor in terms of the amount of women going into engineering, studying for it, staying in it, staying within the career and moving forward. Our research shows us that 6% of women are coming into engineering in the UK and are not necessarily staying there. We can get into questions later, but I think when people have children, women have children, they don't necessarily come back into it. It's like 1 or 2% is the national average, which is appalling. I looked at where are we in relationship to other countries. Canada and Australia are strides ahead of the UK, like 20% or something. Hence, my colleague Tony was trying to find somebody like you who's a real, example for other women, young women coming into the sector, and why we wanted to support this particular day. Okay. So welcome.
Thank you.
Great. Chose you because you're a finalist for the European Women in Construction and Engineering Award for Best Woman Project Manager.
That's right.
Yeah. And what prompted you to go forward for that?
I was actually nominated by TFL.
Oh, great!
So
Fantastic.
I was quite shocked to find out, and it was a really good boost for me because I worked, as you said, there aren't many senior female project managers. Opportunities where women are highlighted is one way that you can give women confidence to stick with it and also to actually want to move forward. And the other thing that even happened apart from this was around this time as well, because the celebration in TFL at the moment, we're celebrating 100 years of women in the transport industry.
Fantastic. And
it came up because I think 100 years ago when there was the wars, the Maida Vale line of Bakerloo, Maida Vale line basically was run by women totally. So
wow,
stations
the First World War.
First World War. So
awesome.
So 100 years.
We can do it if we need to.
So that's been celebrated now to say, look, there's nothing anyone's doing there that isn't, that women can't do.
So what prompted you to choose a career in engineering?
I think I started off with computer science. That was what I wanted to study initially.
Were you into maths and science when you were a kid?
Not necessarily. I was into science, but not the elementary science. I was just more into trying to find out why things worked a certain way, and if I looked at the television, I think, what actually causes, I was very analytical in my thinking, so trying to do that at university wasn't really an issue. It almost seems like a weird fallacy that's grown up with us, that we're meant to be more soft and looking for cuddly things, but I find that women are a lot more focused than we give ourselves credit for.
Definitely.
And that's what helped me because when I joined, there was about 6 of us, and there was about 600 guys.
Wow.
So really odd.
Very male-dominated environment.
They always knew when you were in or when you were out. You could ask if a guy was in, nobody would remember, but if you were in, everyone was in. But with time, I realised that, it's just about getting your mind right, and if you are able to focus, which I think most women are capable of. It's not, and maybe it doesn't help that growing up, I look at, and I know it's going to sound strange saying looking at toys and things that help you learn as you grow. When things are put into girls and boys sections, I don't think it helps because it makes girls feel like if they're interested in technical stuff, then they're unnecessarily butch, and we've come into a very strangely more, I don't want to say superficial because being girly, there's nothing wrong with it, but I think we're in a heightened time where everyone knows how to wear the best makeup and this and that, and then trying to marry that up with people thinking, it's all gloves and grease and dirt, just isn't working. I could just see girls' faces going like, oh no, no, I don't want to do that. But if they can focus more on the fact that you don't have to do the nuts and bolts, you can do that if you really want to, but there is also another side where you are still an engineer, because your professionalism is what helps what we call the guys on the tools do better work.
So could you tell us a little bit about your job and what you do and how you kind of got to where you are?
All right.
No small questions.
Okay. I'm a project manager.
Yeah.
And I work for London Underground. And this means I get to...
How long have you been with them?
I've been with London Underground, well, TFL altogether about 11 years.
Fantastic.
For London Underground, it's absolutely amazing because you get to work on different stations. You have, the thing that I think is quite key is as long as you're ready to break things down. And I think that's amazing for me because women, I always feel women are so capable of, and they gave me the opportunity because they allowed me to actually be seconded into a role and understand how the role works and see if I felt I could continue with it. Now, once I finished that, then I managed several other projects as well. I was working on the cameras at Tower Bridge, and that is such a beautiful place. It's one of the best visual images I have every time I think about it. It's stunning, and the work, you get to understand that, you're working with men, obviously, so it's always men. I always show up and I'm always the only girl, and I think, oh, here we go. But I've come to the point now where I know that all they're waiting for is for you to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. When my job came up, it came up as an assistant project manager within London Underground. I think that's probably the only time I ever did what men do, which is when they say they look at a list of things and they think, well, I haven't done all of that, but I'm applying anyway. And I applied, and it worked because once I got there, they just said, well, if you feel you can do this, you've got your... period during which they assess you before they actually make you permanent. So if they decide that you're not a good fit for the role, then you probably won't get held on permanently. But if you are, then this will
move forward, right?
So I was able to do that, and then I was able to get onto an actual project manager role. It can be hard because that's the other thing is I suppose if women are prepared to sometimes not always be the friend, but be, I don't want to say the boss, but
the manager.
You've got to do the work. Then you find it's not as difficult because people will trust you if you have the results. And I've been lucky to have that with my team. So they know that if I say this is what we need to do, then everyone's prepared to follow through because they trust that I've thought it through to the end, and it should be profitable for everyone.
Fantastic.
It's just being confident in yourself and not feeling intimidated, because that's how I used to feel when I started off a bit. I thought, God, I don't know.
Can I ask you, this is a really good point, what was the trigger for you? Because you obviously got confident at some point, something changed. What was the trigger? What made that change happen? And what happened in you internally or what happened externally? What do you think?
My real turning point was when I had my first mentor, like my actual official mentor, and it helped that he was a guy. So he was very straightforward. And I remember the first few months when we would meet up and I would complain about something and he would just listen and then go, so what exactly are you going to do about this?
Put it all back
That's not
on
what
you.
I was waiting for. I just wanted to have a moan and just go away and feel happy, and especially if that's what I read the mentoring relationship was about. But he was quite strict, and after a few meetings, I realised, this is going to be my homework. I have to literally come prepared. And he was straight, and he would tell me, look, I know you're capable. Now, you have to believe you're capable, and there's no one else who can do it for you. And every time we met up and he talked about it, then it just started growing on me, and I just felt like, you know what, if he thinks I'm good, then I must be okay. So I just...
someone else believing in you, right? This is one thing I want to highlight in this interview is that I think it's really important that other women support other women. Madeleine Albright from the States, from American politics, has this famous saying, what is it? There's a special place in hell for women that don't support other women. And you can imagine in politics it's really real, but also in the business world, just generally I think it's real. Because if you are acting as an example, if I'm acting as an example, as other people are acting as an example, other women feel, well, maybe I can throw my hat in the ring and go for it too. Or maybe I can try this or I can strive for that. And we can, it probably sounds very 60s or 70s, but have a sisterhood that is actually supporting by example, like you're saying. It's more results-orientated type of support. Do you want to tell us about the most challenging project you've ever been involved with?
Oh, right. I think my most challenging to date is actually one of the projects that I'm currently, almost finishing. It should be finished in August. It's I'm building a clean room for London Underground. It's the first one in TFL. So usually you have historic information about projects. So if you're,
what is it again?
A clean room. It's basically a particle controlled environment.
Okay.
So it's going to have some a high pressure within it, so that any impurities that are within the room gets pushed out. So it's that imbalance of pressure that creates a clean environment in the actual structure itself. And in order to also keep up with that, you have to make sure that people are wearing the right kind of outfits, and they have a lot of extract equipment in there, so that all their equipment, all the dust and muck gets sucked up and isn't released into the atmosphere. Normally, with everything else we've got on the underground being 100 years old, everything's been done before. I mean, there's no facade you're trying to put up, there's no windows, somebody's done it somewhere. By the time the sponsor came to site to see where, how we progressed, he was quite happy, because he was like, I didn't even envisage this because I didn't know what we were going to get, but you guys seem to have actually pulled this off. And so for me, having to have a project like that, which is the first of its kind, it's, I mean, for my team, they go on about it, so I just feel like, and that's not just my local team, it's my bigger team, because it really is something that people say, if they talk about jobs that our bigger team is doing, they always highlight. And it's good to have a woman there, because people can then say, women actually do break out the box and can actually do things that sometimes we don't expect of them. So,
congratulations. That's nearly finished, right? Yeah, great. As a woman in engineering, what would you like your legacy to be?
I would like to believe that there are some women somewhere who are able to look at me and think, well, if she's able to do what she's doing, then I feel that, the opportunities must be there, and it would possibly give people confidence to aspire to do what I do. I would hope I could also leave a legacy that expresses the difference between what I would call a technical person and an engineer. And being in the role that I am now, I know the difference, because we have a lot of people who are on the tools, and we call them on tools because they're the guys who come in and actually put the bolts in and screw things up and do the actual manual labor, which is totally different from the people who come up with the solutions that allow them to do their work. And I'm not sure there's enough information out there to let people know that there is a difference between those roles. If one woman, even just one, decides, I'm going to try and be an engineer just because of what you've done, that would actually just be, I would believe that that's a stepping stone to other women also looking up to that woman, and then being able to feel encouraged to, take advantage of the opportunities we have. Hopefully, I hope I can eventually even become a more of an official mentor for women, where they can actually come and talk to me about things that they might feel concerned about. And, if their confidence is low, then I hope I can boost their confidence, as I had mine boosted some time ago, where I was told in no uncertain terms what I was capable of, and I was almost forced to accept it. So hopefully they will feel the same and think, if she believes in me, then I'm pretty sure I'm able to do this, this job and do it as well as possible. So I hope that I can do that, but we just have to keep trying and just keep pushing forward.
Thank you so much, Yewande. That was beautiful, really inspiring. Thank you very much.